Hello and welcome everybody to another episode of Unrestrained. We haven't done one of these in a while. Zach's been out. I haven't really cared to do this much with Andrew. Just kidding. Everybody's been super busy. But yeah, let's get it started. Zach, earlier in the week we were talking a little bit. Zach, you were talking a little bit about your thoughts on me and Andrew's aerial discussion since you weren't there.
Yeah, yeah. Basically, I haven't looked at any of the trailers. All I know is that they've race changed Ariel. I don't know if they've changed any of the plot or anything, but I just don't see the continued purpose of them pushing live action movies that were originally animated. Most of them that they've done, in my opinion, have turned out bad for their live action adaptation, so I just don't see why they need to continue to do that.
I think it's because they have so much, well, they're running out of money, but they had a lot of money and they didn't know what to do with it
Well,
because
it's that and
they
their
just
copyright is about to expire.
that might be it. Well,
So
yeah,
I don't know
that'll
if they
probably be it
get
too.
new copyright, if they can get new copyright by doing a live action for it. Um,
I don't know,
that
but
could
that
be
is it.
something.
Yeah, I don't know. That is an interesting theory. Hadn't really thought about that one.
Yeah,
Most of these have just been political. I agree with you. There's no real reason for them to make those, like for them to do live action.
yeah. Some of them I enjoyed, like the Tarzan. The Jungle Book wasn't bad.
Yeah,
Um, Lion King, I hear good things, but I've never seen it.
it's not good.
So I hear
It's not.
Pinocchio was terrible.
It was. Yeah.
I'm trying to think of others that they did.
I, all I really well, they did Aladdin. They
I
had done.
That one was bad because of Will Smith.
Heard he
I
slapped the
just
whole cast. So
I just didn't like his genie.
yeah. I think that the main reason as to why that they're doing this is one, they are creatively bankrupt and they have no idea what to put a story into,
Yeah.
and they also don't want to try for new things anyway because that might be a money waster and they want to hold on to their money, and especially with how they're kind of getting losing money now and not gaining as much money. With the aerial one, me and you will agree on that one. Andrew would not.
I just don't see the purpose of, if you wanted to do another animated version of it or like visually enhance it,
Mhm.
I guess that's fine. But I just don't see the necessity in
Well, yeah. Well, I
doing a
mean,
live action.
yeah.
Disney
Well, I
was
remember.
known for its
Yeah,
animation.
yeah.
Disney's no longer known for its music animation or anything like that
No.
anymore.
Well, I remember like back like when I used to watch like old DVDs. They had these when I was a kid. In the trailers or like the beginning, like like trailers or commercial kind of esque like things for like DVDs of like older stuff. They were like putting out that they were remastered for like the like to go to work well now, and like so it doesn't really make any sense as to why they would do a live action other than they just have the money and they want to burn it.
Well, if
However, what I
there
have a problem
ever,
with is
yeah,
the way they're politicizing their new ones, because why not just do a faithful adaptation? That's kind of what me and Andrew's talk kind of went into.
yeah, like to me, I don't have a problem with, if you choose, you can choose a cast, but if it needs to be a 1-to-1 ratio in its how it's given and directed. It needs to be, you can change some things to make it so that it comes off comes more off as a live action instead of animated, which I understand. But the basic storyline needs to be pretty much a copy and paste, unless you want to change it like they did in Alice in Wonderland and make it a bit more realistic to the book.
Well, I don't think that's what they're doing.
No, I know that, but that's the only exception I
Yeah,
give. Otherwise, they're just destroying the original copy of Disney's. movie.
And I would say for nothing more than political gain, or just to say that, look, we did it. We put a black lead, and then cower behind and say it's racist if you don't enjoy it, no matter what you say. You could even talk about the story, because I believe either this one or the Snow White that they've decided to make Hispanic now. I believe
Wait,
either
hold on.
one
A
or
white,
both.
hold on. Hispanic,
Yeah, they made Snow White Hispanic.
but that's. I don't want to say impossible, but at the same time, it's impossible because she's known as Snow White for a reason, because she's really, really pale.
No, you're thinking too much into it.
No. I'm not. That's
I know.
literally the description of the character in the first like two sentences
I
of the
know, but
book
then they'll say
and the
why
movie.
does it, and then they'll say why does it matter? But yeah, like it's just that thing where it doesn't make any sense other than for them to push it as as politics, essentially, which is
Yes,
kind of why
and
they're losing so many
okay,
people in their
it's
audience sphere.
it's politics, and then how the other demographic push it as cultural acceptance. It's not cultural acceptance if it's being forced. If you want to have it accepted, then make a new movie that is better. Make a original movie. Don't go back and do a recreation of a movie because you want the cast to be different, because it's not the way you wanted it to be done.
Yeah, a great
Just make a
example of
new
this
movie.
is Princess and the Frog.
Yes, that was a really good movie. You have Aladdin.
Yeah,
That's another really good example. There's a lot of really good examples. They just don't want to do those movies. I don't know why or for what reason. There's a
I
lot
mean
of
they
they
did
have a lot of
Aladdin, but
context.
they did Aladdin, but they made it so political and everything they did, and the CGI
Yeah,
was so bad nobody went to go see it.
which baffles me because I don't. And that movie was just bad in general. I've never
Yeah,
sat down to watch the whole thing at once.
I
Um,
don't want to, just to be honest. But yeah, and I don't know if it's Ariel, it's the new Ariel movie or the Little Mermaid movie, the new Snow White movie, or both that have said that the story is going to change because they don't need no man.
but it's a princess movie,
Oh
and
yeah, I get it, I get that, but that's what they've said. It's either
well,
one,
we'll
it's
have to
either
wait
it's either
till
one or
the
the
movie
other or
comes out
both.
for 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 the Little Mermaid.
I
Like,
believe they said that for at least Snow White. I don't know about Ariel, but I believe
yeah,
they've said it at
for
least
the
for Snow
little
White.
for the Little Mermaid, that is the driving force of the movie. She wants to be with this man. You can't change if you take that out. You change the whole plot and the whole purpose of that movie.
Yeah, and I
For
think they
Snow
do.
White,
Yeah.
all it is the ending. Mostly.
Also, they've also changed the dwarves.
I was about to say the dwarves would be the only other thing they can really
Well, no,
change.
they've taken out the dwarves.
Well, that doesn't mean that then it's not Snow White.
No, I know.
Snow White has dwarves. When you think Snow White, the first thing I think of are the dwarves
Yeah,
and the poison apple, and that is Snow White.
yeah. Well, I'll go ahead and see if I can go ahead and share this one, get this one rolling. So this is a video that I came across watching another channel that I've kind of shown you, Geeks and Gamers, and on their Tuesday
Okay.
night's main event, they had showed this clip, and I want to get, and they were making fun of it and ridiculing it, and rightly so, as you can see, as you can tell by the hamster looking man,
All right.
but yeah, so watch it and tell me what you think. If you want me to stop it, I can, if you have
All right. I'll
points.
let you know.
But
Here's why Halle Bailey as Ariel is fantastic and you're just racist. So off the bat, mermaids aren't real. Folklore, a mermaid is an aquatic creature with the head and upper body of a female human and the tail of a fish. They appear in folklore from Europe, Asia, and Africa. But because
I will point out he's trying to make he's trying to make points, serious points, and he has that song going on in the background.
I was about to say it doesn't match
No,
at
it
all,
doesn't.
but I appreciate it.
That's like trying to have a serious conversation about a funeral about your grandpa dying, and then in the background you just hear "Happy, happy birthday from all of us to you." We wish
I
so
thought
much.
you were gonna say you were gonna like be at a wedding and you just hear the sad violins.
Yeah, like it's a funeral. Yeah. Anyway, I'll continue.
A lot of you keep trying to bring up the source material. Here is where the source material of mermaids comes from, the Mediterranean Sea. As you can see, we have Asia, Europe, and Africa, which means that a mermaid could be literally any skin color, but I get it. Atlantica is in Denmark. Fun fact, moron, Denmark has black people. Did you know that? Also, H.C. Anderson's original text, which the original movie is based off of, didn't actually clarify anywhere that Ariel was white. He just said that her skin was as clear and delicate as a rose leaf. I'd personally want to know Halle Bailey's skincare routine because she looks great. You know, but like, her hair isn't as red as the cartoon, and her eyes aren't as blue as the sea. But guess what? Shut up. Does that serve the story? No. This just in. Breaking news.
Okay,
The skin
pause it.
color
Hold on.
of Ariel.
Yes, it's not really for the story, but it's an easy fix. There's colored contacts, and you can wear a wig, or you can color your hair like they did in Aquaman, and just had her hair like jet red.
Yeah, like
So
they
easy
deliberately
fix
made this. Yeah,
regardless.
yeah, like they deliberately made this decision, and they decided that this was okay. People are just
Like
wondering why.
I understand the blue hair that doesn't bother me. The red hair or the blue eyes doesn't bother me. The red hair I was like, it's kind of it's not because I think they refer to her hair specifically as well as her eyes. But I'm like, that's an easy fix they could have done. They just didn't want to.
Also, the thing about mermaids, he does like correct himself, and I will give him somewhat credit for Hamster. He does correct himself a little bit in the thing where he says mermaids were kind of found in this region, but this is like in Denmark, which is the whitest of Europe. So, but then he goes on to say that black people are also in Denmark. Well, that's now when like air travel is possible, where boat travel is possible. Back
I
in
mean,
those times,
I'm sure there were
yeah, but it
black
wasn't
people
as drastic
in Denmark,
as to
but yeah.
today. And so that would have actually been seen as a very, very, very small, if any, because I mean,
You might
even
have
in,
had like one, maybe two.
yeah,
Like how it refers to them in if
and
you
it probably
watch
wouldn't, yeah, I'm
Robin
not
Hood
gonna,
Men in Tights, they refer to black people as the painted man.
I have not
So
seen it, but now I kind of want to.
it's it's a comedy skit of Robin Hood.
Oh yeah,
Highly recommend it. It's got Snape from Harry Potter. I can't think of the actor's name. Really, really good. I would highly recommend it.
oh yeah, without a doubt. But yeah, no, this guy, he tries to make good points and but then refutes his own points and then tells you to shut up when he refutes his own points. Like
Okay,
he's mad. He's mad that he essentially caught himself in a lie. So let's go
hey,
back
he
to,
tried. He
yeah,
tried.
yeah, he tried. Let's go back to Mr. G-Force and see what he says.
Yeah.
Serves absolutely nothing to the plot of The Little Mermaid. And that brings us to the next stupid fucking point that racists keep bringing up. What if the roles were reversed? What if Mulan was white? What if Princess Tiana was white? You're dense, Mulan. Chinese, based on the traditional Chinese poem, The Ballad of Mulan. In this story and movie adaptation, her ethnicity has literally everything to do with the story of everything. It is set in China. Mulan is Chinese. Tiana is based off of Chef Leah Chase, a real person. This movie is also entirely rooted in the fact that she is a black woman in 1920s New Orleans. The social commentary there that you might find upon rewatching it is that she's not taken seriously because not only is she a woman in poverty, but she's also black. So what's the difference between those aforementioned?
I'm going to stop it right there. Aren't white people in China? Like he makes the point that black people are in Denmark. So aren't white people, black people, aren't all kinds of races in China now? Because
I
that's the
was
same
gonna
kind of point he
say
makes in Denmark. So
no, no,
why
no, no.
not? Why is it
I was
only
gonna tell
applicable
I
in
was gonna tell
Denmark?
you to pause it for the same reason because I'm like, I mean,
He refutes his own points.
you can, yeah, you can still do it and still have them be white. You can have them be any race at all. You can have a white African American play an African American part. They're
Yeah, yeah,
legally an African American because they were born and raised there.
yeah. T'Challa could be
So
white. No, no. In fact, in the Marvel comics, they actually it's. I love this character. They kind of hinted. They made fun of him in MCU. But this character's name is the White Wolf, and he is the adopted brother of T'Challa. And it's
mhm,
kind of like the Iron Fist story where he's like in a plane, falls down, crashes. He's the only survivor. However, it's like T'Challa's father, T'Chaka, finds him and takes him in, and he's highly scrutinized against because he's the only white guy there, which I
hey,
find,
that's fine.
yeah, I know he's white, so it's his
I mean,
fault.
he became the White Wolf, so he became
I know he's
someone.
essentially like he's sometimes an alias, sometimes an enemy to Black Panther. It's an interesting dynamic because he's his brother, but not
Yeah,
everybody views him as that. It's an interesting story with an interesting character. And technically, I believe he did become Black Panther at one point. So,
yeah, because Black Panther isn't really based on the race; it's based on the
yeah,
Panther.
it is a title. Like that is like one of the
Yeah,
few where it's actually a title. Like Spider-Man is Peter Parker. To
Spider no,
Black,
well, Spider-Man now has is just a title. But the core Spider-Man at its core is Peter Parker.
to some extent, I would disagree with you on that, but that'll be it. We'll save
Well,
that for a little bit
I'm
later.
saying, yeah, yeah.
We'll save that for a little bit later.
Uh,
We might go on that after this is over, after this G-force of a man just stops. I'm going to pull up all the hamsters of G-force and pull up this guy. He's the missing fifth member. Let's go.
Mentioned characters and Ariel from The Little Mermaid. I say again, Ariel's race contributes fucking nothing. The story isn't changing. The original cartoon isn't going to cease.
I'm just saying, like, if we
well,
change Mulan's race to black, it wouldn't change a thing.
well, yeah, yeah. To
In
me,
his
that
in his
that
in
that's
his
my next thing.
ideology, it won't change a thing.
That was going to be my next thing. If they don't change anything with the story, then I'm okay with it. But if they change the story to fit the fact that it's a minority as the main actress, then that's not respecting the creation of the founding work. You're changing the original works to promote something else,
Yeah,
which
and that's why most people
which
don't like these kind of
is
live actions and stuff.
technically it is technically legal because I just had to go through a whole bunch of copyright classes. Um, but it's it's a morality thing, an
Yeah,
ethical thing at this point.
and what's even worse is when you go back and criticize the people that you are trying to go see, that are you trying to go get to go see this movie by just calling them racist, sexist, and all kinds of
Hmm.
misogynistics for not liking the way that they change this film in order to fit whatever political agenda they so choose.
Yeah, if the movie is still have has the same generic feel as the original one, I will be okay with it. But if it's a flop like Pinocchio, then I mean, it will be forgotten in the next 24 hours.
More than likely, it's going to follow the same prelude as Pinocchio did.
Cease to exist once this movie comes out. You have your Ariel. It's nostalgic for you. Stop being racist and let young black girls grow up with that same nostalgia. Why don't they just make an original character then? Maybe they don't fucking want to. I don't really condone all these remakes, but whether you watch it or not is up to you. Here's why.
So
I mean,
essentially,
that is true.
he essentially just says that they're lazy. We're too
Yeah,
lazy to come up with anything else, so
yeah.
they gotta give everybody else who wants to see
Which my
themselves
next
in
thing
there sloppy seconds,
my next
essentially.
thing is I do agree. Watch it if you want to. If you don't want to watch it, not really a problem. You're not hurting Disney's feelings. But the next
No,
thing is saying that saying that you want to have young black girls have someone to look up to. I remember at being in like elementary school, having young black girls dress up as characters from Disney princesses, whether they're white, Mulan, whatever, because they enjoyed the character. So the race or the color of the skin doesn't matter at all, whether they're white, black, yellow, it doesn't matter. It is how the character is presented. If the character isn't something you can receive well and doesn't isn't personable and easy to latch onto, then it's not a good character. And if they mess that up with this movie, then I feel like more people are going to remember the animated Disney than the live action Disney, like
More
they
than
do
likely, that's
with
going to happen,
Aladdin.
and more than likely, that's going to happen either way, regardless.
I mean, very possible, very possible. I'm not saying it's a bad move on Disney. I just don't agree with them needing to do live actions and redo old movies that have won them billions of dollars.
I think it's a bad move, and my reasoning is because not only are they doing live action without actually trying to be somewhat respectful of what they had created previously that got them to the point that they are at now, they're trying to use it as a political stepping stool to kind of be preachy towards their audience. And when the audience doesn't like it,
Now,
they then claim racism, sexism, and all this other
now
stuff.
the thing is, if they want to do a live action, do it like they did with Alice in Wonderland. That I think was a phenomenal live action rendition. It went over really, really well. Had two movies. I think they were gonna do a third, but I think a whole bunch of stuff happened. I don't remember. Um, but if they can pull off something like that, congratulations. But they just haven't been hitting the mark. They've been disappointing people with their live actions, in my opinion.
Mhm.
They've only had a handful that have turned over well.
I can think of one, and that's essentially just Jungle Book. That's all I can really think of. Because the other one I'm thinking of isn't even a live action adaptation. It's just essentially a remake, and that's Pete's Dragon.
Well, Pete's Dragon was never even.
I know it was never an animated. It was like a
Yeah,
it was like
it was a mix. It was a
it was a
hybrid.
mix of both. And
Yeah, it was a
the
hybrid.
newer one is kind of a CGI, so it's still
Yeah.
like somewhat a mix of both. It's just a
I mean, so was Mary
remake.
Poppins.
Yeah, Mary Poppins. I haven't seen the new one, so and I quite frankly, after the way Disney's kind of handled its properties, I'm skeptical about how it's going to handle it. So,
Agreed.
and
Agreed.
it's not just the way that it's not just that they do this, it's that they do this and then antagonize and brutalize the fans as they make it political in every single media outlet that they can and they have a hold in. That's more so the problem that people have now, and the fact that they've ruined so many franchises like the Muppets, Star Wars. You can just go down a list, and it's not just Disney; it's all of Hollywood now. Other companies are starting to make a change. However, that's probably going to be long before we ever get to really see it.
I think Hollywood hit its plateau in the 80s, 90s, and early 2000s. That was its golden age. And I think they're about to either have a big turnaround, realize what their problem is, or they're just going to no longer exist in the next 20 years, or exist but be so overshadowed by other industries that it's as if they don't exist.
I think it's gonna. I don't think the first one's ever gonna happen. I don't think they're gonna realize to make that shift. I think so many. I think some of them are so far
They've had so
down
many
this rabbit hole
opportunities.
that they don't.
Mhm.
That there's no way for them to come back at this point because they're just so. Because it's not just these people's ideology. Most of these people don't care. Most of them just go on the switch of a dime, go whichever way the wind blows. They're a lot like politicians in that opinion.
Mhm.
It's just those. They've also just input in all these people that have a say, that believe this wholeheartedly and don't care if the company goes down. That's the kind of people that they have in there now. And in all honesty, they're gonna play it till it burns. No offense. And
No, Yeah, no, I agree. I definitely agree with that.
Yeah, definitely, and that's why I'm kind of like starting to try to support like people like kind of like what I showed you with Ripperverse, just people like saying, had
Mhm.
enough, gonna make my own thing, see how it goes.
Which is what we need. We need a new, like a renaissance,
Yeah,
reawaken the people's creative minds.
yeah,
Because it's been um very little over the past decade. So hopefully this will be a reawakening for creativity, and we'll have new companies come out and produce better quality entertainment, art, really anything at this point. And hopefully, this is the next biggest thing. Hopefully, they can survive the onslaught of Hollywood and Disney trying
because
to buy them out and destroy them.
well, I know definitely with especially in the case of Ripperverse, he's the guy who runs it has already said he's not selling that to anybody. He's gonna own it till he dies.
Good.
So, so yeah, there's that. And the other thing that they're mainly gonna have to survive, which is the problem, is the big media conglomerate
I was about to say the media. Mm-hmm.
that basically has
False
been
news.
trashing everything, or just either will ignore it or trash it till they no longer have really a say in anything anymore. And so they also probably have to fall in this as well.
Yeah, it's going to be a interesting couple of years for cinema, cinematography, in my opinion.
Yeah,
Because we're gonna have a really big change in how things are gonna be done and the
yeah,
quality of what we've been given.
yeah. I think it's gonna go from basically how good looking the cinematography was. I think it's gonna change from that to the storytelling because the in all honesty, the main layman can't isn't going to be able to provide the same kind of effects that big companies are, but they're going to be providing way better storytelling than they are now. And so I think it's going to go from the flashy sort of way that the movies are looking and the big kind of fight scenes to go into this wonderful storytelling. And
Which I'd be okay with that,
yeah,
100%. To
one of the
me,
better
to
ones
me,
I can
it's
tell
not
you about
really.
is Terminal List. I don't know if you've watched that yet,
I don't
but
think so.
the Terminal List with Chris Pratt, done by ironically done by Amazon Prime, um, is really good. Highly recommend it.
Okay,
Didn't know
I'm
how
gonna
I
have
was
to
gonna
take a
feel
look.
about it after the first episode, but after the first episode, like a regular show, I was hooked on to watch the rest of it.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to take a look into it. But to me, honestly, the visuals aren't really a selling point. Yes, they're nice, they're flashy, they're attractive, but it's the story and the way they make you feel attached to specific characters.
I will say they're not anymore
No, I
because like
haven't.
that was the
There's
big
not.
thing about Avatar, like the blue people Avatar.
I
That
was,
was a
yeah.
big thing about them. That's why that movie did so well was because of all the flashiness and stuff. If you go
Well, it
look
was the
at the story and
flashiness,
stuff,
and then the story. There
the
were.
story was the story was I would say the story was mediocre,
I was gonna say mediocre.
but
At best.
the cinematography, the CGI work was next level and hadn't been done at that level before. I believe George Lucas had tried doing that, something like that, but it hadn't gotten to that point yet. And then by the time it
Mhm.
got to Avatar, it just exploded,
Yeah.
and we kind of got
Here's
the
hoping.
CGI era
Here's
that it is
hoping
now.
that
So
their sequel will be not a devastating blow.
it's Disney, so I'm not holding my breath.
Yeah, but here's hoping that they don't ruin. Well, they let's be honest, they can't ruin the first movie. The first movie will always remain number one in the box office, or go down in history as being number one in the box office for quite a long time. I don't think the second movie will be anywhere as close to the sales rate of the first one, but I hope that it's still good.
Getting out of the Disney talk, which will ruin everybody's life. I've been watching Static Shock.
Classic.
Yeah.
It season 1 does not hold up. Or like the first 20 episodes, really, really slow, but it picks up.
Yeah. There's definitely some episodes that I have problems with. Like there's like one episode in which they have I believe it's Richie, his father is like supposedly racist.
I'm gonna have to look that up.
That's
because
one of the episodes. They have Richie's father being racist, and
he was friends with glasses, right?
yeah. They have Richie is the blonde kid with the glasses and stuff, and his father is apparently they make his father racist.
I vaguely remember this scene.
So, however, it's weird how they did it, and it's weird in the sense that it's never done the other way. And I would think if you're gonna address racism in a kid show, you would say anybody can be racist instead of just saying old white people are racist.
You mean black people?
No,
Wait,
no. Richie's father's is white.
Old white people. Yeah.
Yeah, they kind of make that inference because he's the only old white guy in the show.
I rewatched it like 3 years ago. I'm gonna have to go look at it again.
Yeah, I don't know. It just seemed off to me, especially in a kid show.
Give me a new enhanced rendition of Static Shock.
Oh, they did in the comics where he got his powers based off of BLM riot.
Oh, never mind. I take it back. Don't give me a new rendition of Static Shock.
I knew you'd be disappointed. Yeah.
Burn it. Ruin my childhood. Dude.
Another episode that
I'll be perfectly honest. And this can be an example. Static Shock, 100% one of my favorite superheroes, and he's black and I'm a white man.
Yeah.
I would 100% dress up for Halloween as Static Shock.
I'd like to see that. I'll pay to see that one.
I would 100% do it. I would be a white Static Shock.
You just say trick or treat and you have dreads on. People will be like, are you smoking? No, I'm static. Oh.
I've been running my feet on the carpet all day.
White people with dreads, they're just seen as crack addicts.
Or
pot smokers, like people that have been.
No, you're right.
They'll go up and hug you.
What type of shrooms are you on? You don't want to know, man.
But yeah, just just episode like that. And there was another episode in which, and I'd actually like to know what you and Andrew think about this because it's kind of similar to Run, Hide, Fight, in which there's this kid that Virgil and Richie know that ends up going to the school with a gun because he's getting bullied. And that one, and they
to watch it.
And they and then in that scene they criticize essentially owning guns. To some extent, you get the idea of Virgil and why he doesn't like him, because they kind of tell you that his mother was killed by a gun. That's why he doesn't like him. And to some extent, you can get that. However, they kind of oversell it to the point where it's like guns be evil.
Kind of like that. Your mother was shot by a man dressed up as a gun for Halloween.
I know. It was
destroy all guns. Look, that's really done. People, I'm not saying take guns lightly. I'm just making a point. It's not the gun. It's the person behind the gun.
Yeah, and I don't think they made that clear.
A gun cannot pull its own trigger.
I don't know. I've seen some of those guns, man. You get them high enough, they will.
Well,
they did not emphasize the fact that the gun was not the evil thing, but the person was. They seem to push on that guns were evil, and then they have this whole like PR thing at the end of the episode, in which like so many people get killed with guns. Kids get killed with guns every day. You know, it's like what is this? everybody gets killed with guns every day. So it's just one of those things where it's like, why is this in a kid's show? You know, like it was like it'd be okay if it was like an adult like sort of like
if you
show
did
and
it
stuff. Like
if
if you
you
wanted
did
to do
it
this kind of
as
crap,
or if you did it as a doing it as so that kids are more aware, hey, this isn't really a toy for you to play with. Um, have make and if the parents are watching it,
yeah.
be like, hey, make sure you keep this out of reach of children.
And that
Lock
would have
it
been
up.
interesting if they had done like this isn't a toy, like don't mess with this, but they treat it more so less like this is a toy and this is evil.
Mm,
Like Virgil's dad gets onto the dad of the guy who brings in the gun to school because it is his gun,
mm-hmm.
and he swipes it from him and stuff. Like he has it in a safe and everything, and he does everything right, and the kid still gets to the gun. And Virgil's dad like is berating him, like berates him, like why would you even have a gun in your house?
At that point, look,
And at that point, I'm not faulting the dad because he has it under lock and key.
yeah, it's the fact of
The kid was smart enough to swipe the key and get the gun, and somehow able to slip past his dad who was in the front yard. It's just
and
one of those things where
I would be perfectly honest. I would think once you reach high school, you would understand and be able to comprehend it, but apparently it's not the fact all the time that you shouldn't go take a gun, take it to school and just start shooting people.
yeah. Well, this kid wasn't going around just shooting people. This kid was going around to actually go shoot his bully because his bully had been bullying him constantly for like throughout the year, and nobody had said a thing.
Yeah.
And
Like
he had done it in
like
front of the girl he liked and all that kind of stuff. And so,
yeah,
and I'm not
like
knocking the show. The show is good for what it is. It's just these odd episodes every now and then where it's like
in between.
I
Mm-hmm.
see you can see the political message that they're pushing, and this is for like this is a kid's audience, so it's like
Yeah.
why is this in a kid's show?
Yeah, no, I understand that.
Another thing was one of the I forget what his name is, Dwayne McDuffie, I believe is his name. One of the guys who wrote the show and wrote the characters and all that said like he was pushing for Richie to be gay. And I mean, if you want to do that in the comic book, that's fine, I guess. Like, comic book isn't going to be read by a whole bunch of kids, whereas a TV show on like very little channels is. But however, he was pushing that in the TV show
Which
aimed at
back
kids. And this is back
back
in
then,
1990 something. Yes.
yeah, back
And he
then,
said he was
shock
pushing it then.
outdated.
Now he could
If
have
he did
just been
that
fibbing and
now,
lying and saying about
fair,
it because
fair.
to be fair, in some of the scenes, when Richie is kissed by a girl, he does blush. One scene in particular that I can point to and be like, he blushes there, and he's kissed by a girl when he's trying to be a superhero. And it's like in the second season when he gets powers from an old dude. Like, and not knocking the show. The show is good. It has good points. It's just moments like that where it's just like
Yeah, no, I
it feeds into the
understand. I
psychosis of
understand.
how long has this stuff been here? Like we see it nowadays, like running rampant
Look, let
about
me
the thing,
actually
but it's
send
like
you.
it's
Let me
been there
send
a
you this.
long time. So
I have been looking, finding old clips
and
from
and I mean
TV
they did
shows
it,
and stuff that
and they
are
did that in the
extremely like
they did
sexist, racist, just kind of out there. And these are in TV shows, and I just never noticed them. And I go back and watch them now, and I'm like, holy cow, I don't remember this. Where is
but and I will say there's a difference between like racism, like deliberately bullying
Oh yeah,
somebody, and
no,
then making
100%.
fun and making light of our differences.
Yes,
There is a
yes,
difference between that. And I think that's somewhat been blurred by the culture nowadays. That
yes.
makes sense.
No, agreed, agreed.
So,
It's become a very blurred topic.
yeah. Yeah, no, it's just that's just one of the things where I was like, that I don't know why that's there. Like, and I love the show. I like the show. It's just those episodes where it's like, why? You know? It's like I don't remember that in Batman the Animated Series. I don't remember that in any of the Justice League episodes that I watched. I'm pretty sure there might be a few here, but this is also like some other guy that did this and not the
Mhm.
people who did Batman and Justice League. And it does have it in the Batman. There is one episode in which I was like, I looking back on it, I'm like, okay, they kind of did something similar like they've done nowadays, in which they have their own story they want to tell. However, they want that character name recognition, so they just race change the character, and it's a completely different character, but it's got the character's name. And they did this with, I think they did this with a character called Calendar Girl in the Batman. It's either the new animated series or Batman the animated series. I don't remember which one, but it's essentially a character that's called Calendar Girl that has nothing to do with Calendar Man and nothing to do with calendars, but they seem to just give her that name. I think
Mm.
mainly because they wanted that sort of publicity. Whereas if they would have just named her a different character, would have been fine. So it doesn't make any sense other than they kind of just had an idea for a character, but wanted that name recognition. Not saying that I'm not always saying like it's been prevalent in Hollywood for a while. It's just now it's become like the go-to thing that you see in a show or a film or anything in general.
I hope you're ready. With our combined feminine prowess, they'll be toast in no time flat.
Well, yeah, I suppose I wouldn't mind knocking Ash down a peg or two.
Let's blow those whining women back to the Dark Ages right where they belong!
100%.
Is it just
you really said that? No, that was
is it
it for that one.
that was it for that one?
Yeah, no, they're really short. They're just clips.
I'm not
that
surprised
I've
it is anime, so
The next one I sent you was Batman one. Actually, the
oh, there's
next
two
two I
Batman
sent you.
ones. Yeah.
Oh, Batman.
Not if I have anything to say about it. Batman would never hit a defenseless woman.
Funny. I don't have that problem.
I mean equality. So
Yeah, no, 100%. I
I'll be
saw that
playing
and I was like,
I'll be playing
uh,
these clips as I watch them.
now the other one's just a joke. That one's just for fun.
Some clown-looking fella jumped down this here hole.
Was it the Joker?
Guess so.
Well, did he have green hair and a big smile? Pale white skin, wearing a purple suit?
You know, you look like Batman, but you sound like the fucking Riddler with all these questions.
So Wyatt sends me these videos. He finds a lot of these and sends them to me. Thank you guys so much for sticking around for this Unrestrained, where we just ranted and gave our opinions on whatever we talked about. I don't even remember what we talked about over the last like hour, to be perfectly honest. I remember the general topic, but I don't remember. It was mostly just Disney, actually. Talked a lot about Disney.
Just ranting on Disney.
Yeah, no, yeah, pretty much just Disney. Join us for our next Unrestrained, where we talk about something other than Disney.
I mean,
Not
I've got a
good.
list. Yeah, definitely not Disney because it's on the Velma trailer.
Not Disney, but something else.
Something
Warner
else
Brothers.
corporate. Yeah. The Velma trailer. Yeah, I got a whole thing we could go off
Yeah,
on
we
that
got-
one. I
Yeah,
got a
we-
list. I got a list. I'm still making it. I'll take off the aerial and static shock thing, but
Yeah,
yeah, I
we
got a
got a
list.
list, so you all look forward to it. We got hopefully good things planned. Hopefully, you might not like them, but you know we like making them for you.
Yeah, no.
All right, well, join us next time, and see you guys later.